Boker Tov, everyone. So this week's portion is Noah, and there's a lot that happens in this portion, a lot that I could tell you about. I want to talk for a moment about, well, first of all, the fact that in this portion, we're shown that we're all descended from one righteous man in his generation who rose above the wickedness of his times and is a beacon of hope for future generations, right? That they were able to restart civilization. But I want to talk a little bit about something interesting that happens towards the end of this portion, which is the Tower of Babel. And I think many of us know this story, right? The idea is that the people grew haughty and they wanted to build a tower all the way up to the heavens so they could be as high as God. And of course, God punishes them by confounding their language. So they could no longer understand each other. They could no longer work together towards this common goal. I think it's interesting because on the one hand, as a linguist, I mean, certainly it's a little far-fetched to believe that that this could be the origin of so many languages that we have in our world today. There are so many languages. It's innumerable. It's practically impossible to count. But beyond that, I think it's interesting because even though the goal of the people was not a righteous one, right? Because there is a haughtiness that's sort of involved in the idea of building so high. But I think if you can look at it from a different perspective, you can look at it as people working together toward a common goal. And if you look at it from that perspective, the idea that this punishment that God sent is confounding their language, that is what got in the way of everyone being able to work together, right? The idea that we can't work together towards a common goal unless we understand each other, I think is one that feels really poignant today. I mean, from my perspective, the reason I love languages and studying them and aiming to learn as much as I can is because language shapes the way that we think. And the more I can understand other languages, the more I can understand other people. So we have this story, and we have a reason given as to why we can't always get along, why we can't always work together. And part of that is we don't understand each other. So even though we have tools at our disposal to learn other languages, it's not always possible to do. It's not always possible to understand each other. And I think it's a sad thing in today's world. It's been this way for a long time because we can't understand each other. But I think even though the goal of the people in the story of the Tower of Babel is not a righteous goal, I think we need to aim more to understand each other, even when it's difficult, and try to look at things from a different angle sometimes.